So today we are going to look at library skills. Library, yeah? Library is one of the most important place in academics. Not only in academics, but in life. In life, library is one of the most beneficial place. So you're going to realize that so many organizations, they have a library. Those established organizations, you're going to realize that they have their own library. Like I used to work with Kenya Revenue Authority, not to work, but I was an intern at Kenya Revenue Authority sometimes back, and I realized that they have their own library. When I was in school, a friend of mine was working at Kenya like KPLC, and she used to give me her cards to go to the library KPLC ambayo iko hapa karibu na utalii Thika Road. So you realize that many organizations have got their own libraries. Why do they have their own libraries? It's because they have realized that a library is a very good place, that if you need information, you can just go there and read books that concerns maybe the problem that maybe you want to find a solution to. Therefore, we have found it necessary to talk about library skills because it is going to help you not only when you're a student, but it is also going to help you even when you start working. So many of the institutions have got libraries, not for decoration purposes, not for good naming purposes, but for the purposes of ensuring that people are able to do what? To know things that they need to know, or they're able to get information that they're able to get or that they need to get. Now, this is library skills, and some of the objectives for this library lesson or this library topic is that you are going to define what a library is. Then you are going to discuss the 5 types of a library, and then we are going to describe sections in a library. So we'll be looking at various sections of a library and the purposes or the reasons for those sections. So therefore, we ask ourselves, what is a library? And it is defined there, and it is in bold. And they are saying that a library is a collection. It is a collection of well-documented books, journals, newspapers, and other form of information that is printed and non-printed. So a library is a collection of well-documented books, well-documented journals, well-documented newspapers, and other forms of information that is printed and non-printed. So when you go to the library, especially current library, it is not necessarily that everything will be printed. Sometimes you are even given soft copy books. You're just given a soft copy books. And the best thing about a soft copy book is that you don't have to return it back. You go there with your flash disk, then they put the book in the flash disk, and then you go and that is your book. If you don't have a flash disk, then they may ask you for your email address and then send the book through your email address. And then whenever you go, you can print that book. Or you can have your own what? Your own e-library. Like most of us have got their own e-library. They have various books. So a university student is required to be self-reliant. You as a university student, you are supposed to be a self-reliant person. That's why you are in a university.
Samie, nizimie hiyo Bluetooth.
Ukifanya makosa kama hiyo unatupigia kelele, then tunakurusha waiting room. The next time tutaonana na wewe ni exam, because as we speak right now we are going only to meet in the exam room because this is our last topic. So a university student like you is required to be a self-reliant person. That's why you're in a university, and that's why you realize that sometimes your parent is not so much concerned with you as opposed to your primary school brother, or to your primary schooler or secondary schooler brother, something like that, because he's now looking up to you to be a self-reliant person. You rely on yourself most of the time. You don't rely on others. So your desires for knowledge cannot be satisfied by your teachers alone. So those who are here in this class, just know that I cannot satisfy your desires for knowledge alone. So the teacher cannot have all the answers to the questions that you have. And therefore, you as a student, you have to do a lot of searching, and searching will take the form of maybe debating with people, observing what exists in the world, and finding what others have done or written. Like when we give you an assignment is totally different from a cut. When we give you an assignment, don't just submit your assignment. It is always good to confirm, am I doing the right thing? Not copying. Confirming is not copying. It's just looking at what have I done my assignment? What has she done? I mean, how has she done his assignment? Am I in the right track? But some of you at this age, instead you go copying. You say, yours look nice, let me copy it. And you copy everything from full stop to full stop. So that is it. Your teacher cannot provide you everything. Your teacher cannot provide you everything, and therefore you need a source of information. You need to debate with other people. You need to do a research on something, because maybe you need this information. Number 2, definition of a library. We are saying that a library is a collection of selected information resources. Collection of selected information resources which are organized and preserved for reading, for studying, and for consultation. Now this one, when you talk about selected information sources, we are talking about libraries such as those libraries that have stocked books specifically for that institution. Like for example, KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. You will go to their library and you'll find that the books that are there in their library is all about agriculture. It's all about agriculture and the research that were done on agriculture and so on and so forth. When you talk about libraries such as, there is another one, there are some institutions that stocks library because that stocks library specifically for what the institution does or on what the institution does. So we are saying that a library is a collection of selected information resources which are organized, preserved for reading, for studying, and for consultation. So you're going to realize that a library is usually selected, that most university libraries select their materials. If you go to Zetech University Library, you're going to realize that they select their materials using what we call internationally accepted principles of selection and correct selection tools. So all materials acquired in the library, or some materials acquired in the library through gifts and donations. Sometimes you will hear that SAMCHI, say for example, have donated books worth 500 million to Zetech University, or it has donated books worth maybe 1.5 million. You've had even Macmillan Library, I remember this school in Kisii that was called kunaitwa namna gani? This school, Nyakemicha Primary School. They performed very poorly sometimes, and after some periods of time, certain organization, I think it is Macmillan, went there and donated books to them. So these, we are talking about universities and colleges. Sometimes organizations donate books for them as gifts. Now, these books or donations should be selected only, should be selected and only relevant and useful ones are put on the shelves. So once you've been donated some books as a university, we usually select the most important that we put on the shelves, and the other ones we put them maybe in the store, something like that. Then we have organized. We are getting this information from the definition that a library is a collection of selected information. So we are defining the term selected, and we have said that sometimes people or organizations can donate books to an institution. Once they donate those books in an institution or to an institution, then the institution look at those books and selects them and decides that these books are going to be on the shelves, and these other one we are going to put them in the store. We have also said that information resources which are organized. So we go to the next key term, which is organized. So it is only possible to use the collection in a library if it is properly organized. Like for example, if you go to Zetech University Library and you say, I want a book for what? For media. I'm looking for communication skills book. If you go to the library assistant on the desk, he will tell you, just go to maybe the 5th row, the 7th row, the 2nd row. There you're going to find all the books for communication, meaning that it is organized, it is properly organized. If you are a student doing what we call CBM, Certificate in Business Management, and you want a book for maybe what we call principles of management, the librarian will tell you the principles of management books are on that corner. All the books in that shelf are for principles of management. What does that tell you? It tells you that the library is a properly organized place. So materials are organized by means of what we call classification and cataloging. So they are cataloged, they are classified, and by classifying library materials, you find that they are grouped together according to subject similarity. So you find that principles of management books, they're in that corner. Communication skills books are on that corner. If you are looking for a book on broadcasting, you're a journalist, or you're pursuing a course in journalism, they're in that other corner, and so on and so forth. They are categorized according to the subject and according to the topics. Then we have said that a library is a collection of selected information resources which are organized. So we have looked at key term organized. Then we are going to the key term preserved and preserved and preserved. So what is preservation? Preservation is the maintenance of library materials. When you talk about preservation, it is maintaining of library materials in their original condition through maybe retaining it and making that, ensuring that you take good care of that particular material. If a material is damaged, there are people who, when they are given books, you go to the library and you are given a book, and you're told this book should be returned at a specific date. The book is in a very good condition, very nicely kept. And then when you're returning the books, there are some pages missing. Others, you cannot tell which one was page 1. The book is stuttered completely. So in that case, number 1, you'll be penalized by the university, or you might be asked to buy another book, and then that one remains yours. The one that you have brought that is stuttered, it remains to be yours. Or they might take the book and then they might charge you for maintaining that book. To maintain that book simply will mean that it has to be taken care of. So if materials of if such books are damaged, they can be preserved through restoration. They can restore the book, and this is a procedure that improves the condition of that particular damaged book or that particular damaged material, and an attempt to reclaim as it close as possible to original condition. So they will ensure that that book looks as if it is new. So they are going to do what is called preservation. Then the next key term we are talking about is, we have talked about reading, studying, and consultation. We can go to that particular definition. We have said that a library is a collection of selected information resources which are organized and preserved for reading, studying, and consultation. Now we are going to look at reading, studying, and consultation at the same time. So when you talk about reading, studying, and consultation, library materials are meant for leisure reading. When you feel like you want to read, and you have nothing to do the whole day, you can just go to the library and read for recreation purposes. You can read textbooks for consultation. You can even read reference materials. Like when you look at our course outline, communication skills, you're going to realize that there are some selected books, there are some references materials that I've given there. You should go to the library and look for those reference materials. Maybe you will get a very good information about library skills, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we go to the library for consultation, not consultation by maybe you are 2 of you, and now you have formed a discussion group and you're disturbing everybody in the library simply because you are doing consultation. Now, the consultation that we mean here is you want to consult the book. So maybe there is a problem, there is something that you're not understanding about library skills. So you go, you ask for a book, communication skills book, and you consult with the book to find whether you get a solution. After consulting with the books and you did not find the solution, then you can come to the lecturer for explanation, or even you can go to the internet and find out more of what you are looking for. So importance of teaching, let's look at the importance of teaching library skills. What are some of the importance of teaching you library skills? Because some of you, they cannot, or some of you nowadays, you realize that students don't go to the library. They don't attend to the library. And I remember those days when I was in school, we used to go to the library every now and then. The library was the only source of information. Nowadays, because of internet, people don't go to the library. And when we give assignments, you only go to the what we call to the internet. You copy and you paste your assignment for Mr. Maina or Mr. David to mark it for you. While I know when we were given assignments, we used to go to the library, look for certain books or several books, and do those assignments according to what the information that we have gathered from the library. Even as we speak right now, exam is about to take place next week, but one. When you go to the library, no one is in the library. When I remember my days during exam period, you could not even get a seat in the library. The library was occupied as early as 8, from Monday until the exams were over. But right now, I was in the university yesterday. I was at TRC, Thika Road campus yesterday, and I passed by the library. The library was empty as usual. empty as usual. 3 students. And when you look at the 3 students, they are reading the newspaper or they are looking at a magazine. So importance of teaching library skills. Number one, most of the students in Kenya have not had an opportunity to use well-organized libraries. Most of the students in Kenya, you're going to realize that they have not had an opportunity to use well-organized libraries. And this is because at both primary and secondary level in Kenya, libraries hardly exist, and where they exist, they are poorly organized. Remember your primary school library. How was it? Was it properly organized? It was not. Some of us went to primary schools and high schools where there existed no library. Hakukuwa na library hata kidogo. Sasa uko na opportunity, kuna library ambayo iko hapo Zetech na hutaki kwenda. In fact, you don't even know where it is. So therefore, students joining university need to be taught information handling skills. So when you visit the library, you need to be taught how to handle information, which will help you not only to maximize the use of their respective libraries, but also to enable them to make use of any other library other than the university library. So the knowledge that you will get on how to get information and how to handle a library will help you throughout your life. Like there was a day I went to University of Nairobi. That was my first university. And when I visited, the best thing about University of Nairobi, you'd go and ask for a book. And then you'd be given a computer that doesn't even have a mouse. It's called OPAC, online something. So you're told, go and find the book. So you have to be taught how to use that computer to find the book. So when you click on the title of the book, the machine tells you that that book is there. But that book, you're going to find it in maybe Kikuyu campus. Or it will tell you the book is there. So that book exists in a library at Kabete, Lower Kabete Library. Or the book is there, it is in the main campus. Something like that. So that was a system. And that system is still used. It is still in use. So the moment you know how to use OPAC, if you go to another university and you find OPAC, you can still look for a book. But some of us, munasikia ni kama ninaongea Greek. Second thing is that importance of learning library skills. Currently, more emphasis is put on students-oriented learning, where the lecturer's role is to provide skeleton notes. Like the ones that I'm providing you, these are called skeleton notes. And the students are required to fill the notes. So the notes that I've given you from topic 1 to the last topic, those are skeleton notes. So it is upon you to fill the notes through information acquired in the library. So you're supposed to go to the library. If it is reading skills, read those notes. Go to the library and read a lot about reading skills. If it is writing skills, how to write an official letter, how to write an application, you go to the library and learn about how to do it. So the notes that we provide you as lecturers, they are usually known as skeleton notes. Those are just guides. It's just like a map. When I give you a map, sikumaanisha ya kwamba tumefika destination. Kwa mfano unataka map ya kwenda wapi? Unataka direction ya kwenda Kisumu. Nikupatie hiyo direction, nikwambie ukiwa hapa Thika Road, maybe you are driving. Ukiwa Thika Road, utachukua hii direction, uchukue hiyo direction nyingine ufike Kisumu. Hiyo sikumaanisha ya kwamba umefika. The same case with teaching. When I give you these notes, it doesn't mean that I have exhausted everything. So this is just like a blueprint, or it's just like what we call a map. But some of you rely on the map. Anajua nikiwa na map nishafika, niko Kisumu already. Nishafika mahali nilikuwa naenda. So more emphasis is put on students, those who are learning, that those notes that lecturers gives you, whether you are doing IT, whether you are doing health and awareness, those notes are just what we call skeleton notes, and the much of the emphasis is put on you, or much there is a lot of responsibility that is required of you to go to the library, understand more of what you have just been taught. Number 3 reason as to why we teach library skills is the growth of seminars and tutorial teaching, especially in project work. You're going to realize that there is a growth of seminar and tutorial teaching. And this one is especially in project work. In undergraduate courses has provided the need for the use of library. Those who are in this, those who are in certificates and maybe next year you want to join diploma. When you join diploma, you will do a project, and that project will force you to go to the library. Huh? The tutorial teaching requires you to go to the library. So let's look at aims of the library. Aims of the library. What are some of the aims of the library? What aims? So let's look at the synonym of aims. Aims are just goals of the library, or the purposes of a library. Or what are intentions of the library? What are the objectives of a library? Number 1 objective of the library is to store a wide range of academic material in order to facilitate independent academic pursuit for both students and staff. So one of the objective of the library is to do what? To store a lot of material in order to facilitate independent academic pursuit by both students and the staff. I told you that I was attached at KRA, and they have their own library. This is an institution. Why do they have their own library and they don't have students? That library is meant for the staff. I've also told you of Kenya Lightning Company that is along Thika Road. Huh? Utapata ya kwamba they have their own library. What for? It is for independent academic pursuit for the staff. They believe that their staff will want one day they would one day want to do what? To enhance their academic life. And so they decided we are going to have a library. So they came up with a library. Number 2, objective of a library is to foster and create interest among students and staff to interact with the material available in the library. So the library is put there so that, Lynette, you can go there and interact with those materials. There are so many good books, up-to-date books that are in the library. Even if you go there and you tell the librarian who is there, we need a book called this. He's a very good librarian. You atakwambia, give me some time, come next year or come next month, that book, we are going to order it and you'll find it in the shelves. So the library also relies on you to give them information about the latest book, and they are going to do it. Also, point number 3, the objective of the library is to assist the students to become more effective, independent in research, and locating appropriate materials for various tasks. That you can be able to, when you get to the library, you know where to get the books, you know where to get the information, and so on and so forth. You are now independent. Sio kama ile siku umeingia tu university, wewe ni first year certificate, siku yako ya kwanza ya pili, haujui vitabu ziko wapi, hujui utaanzia wapi, utamalizia wapi. But now, as we speak right now, you must be an independent an independent researcher. You must be able to locate appropriate materials for various tasks. Let's say you're looking for a communication book. You're looking for, maybe, for example, a criminology book. You don't have to disturb the librarian, because now you are independent. You can locate those books. And number 4 is to encourage students and staff to explore new things, as well as learn more of the familiar ones. The reason as to why we keep updated books is for you, the student and the staff, to explore new things. And as well, as well as learn more of the familiar ones. If you know something, know more about it. So that is the reason, or those are the objectives of the library. Now, apart from those objectives of the library, then we go to the types of libraries. We go to the types of library, unless there is a question. So we go to the types of libraries. Kama kuna swali niulizwe tafadhali. As we look at types of the libraries, and there are 5 types of libraries. 5 types of libraries. We have 5 types of libraries. We have the National Library, we have public library, we have academic library, we have private library, and special library. Those are the types of libraries that exist in Kenya. National Library, public library, academic library, private library, and special library. So we start with what we call public libraries. And these are libraries provided for the public funds through the local authority or the Ministry of Local Government. So the use of any of these library is not restricted to any form of persons. So they are freely available to all members of the public. Like we have a national library, it is in Upper Hill. No, public library which is in Upper Hill. If you go there, you just enter. Nobody will ask you anything. You just sit down, you just read books that you want. But if you have to borrow a book, then you must have been a member, registered as a member. And they are there. If I go to my place in Nakuru, there is a place that I go to the library for free of charge. Wewe unaenda tu vile uko tu, unaingia, unachukua kitabu, unasoma. You can read it as much as you want, so long as you leave the book there. But if you want to borrow that book, then you have to be a member, and there is some contribution that you do every month, something like that. You can even read the daily papers, or the dailies, or the weeklies, or even magazines that are there. And it is a very organized place, a very peaceful place, a very silent place. That one I can assure you that. So we have function of public library. So they promote reading among grown-ups. If you go to a public library, the ones that have been, even in Ruiru, I don't know where it is, but if you go to Ruiru town and you ask, there is a public library somewhere. And this one is funded by the local government. Now they promote reading, the function are, they promote reading among grown-ups. They also promote reading among adolescents, children, youth, regardless of age. That's why I'm telling you, you can just get in, read a certain book, and you leave it there and you go home happy. Secondly, it provides a wide range of loan services. Loan services means that you can borrow a book. You can borrow a book, or you can borrow a reading material from them. But you just don't go there. It is your first time and you want to borrow a book. You must be a member of that library, and there are some certain charges that they charge you. The last time I was in a library and I wanted to be a member, they were charging me 20 shillings. It's very cheap, 20 shillings to be a member. So they'll give you cards, and these cards are the ones that you'll be using to borrow the books. And then point number 3, they strive to serve the whole community. Yeah, it is meant for the whole community. Whether you went to school, whether you did not go to school, you can go to that library and read books. Kuna mtu hapa anatuchezea. That person drawing lines. It seems you are very idle. You are very idle, very, very idle. So then that one is what we call a public library. Then we go to national libraries. National libraries are also called a reference library. Reference library. And you're going to find that to find out that usually the books in such libraries are for reference only. In a national library, the books that are put there are for references only. So the references library is copyright library, since its main function is to collect and preserve books, stock periodicals. So you'll find things like published newspapers or newspapers published in a country for prosperity or prosperity. This is archived through law requiring publishers. Like if you go to archives, Kenyan archives, you're going to find newspapers there. All the newspapers that you need. That's a national library. Then we have special libraries. And special libraries, they contain collection of books and other materials dealing with a limited field of knowledge, which are provided by a land society, etc., etc. And these special libraries, you will find them in places like KEMRI, Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI. You'll find them in UNEP. You will find them in UNEP or KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. These are called special libraries because the information that you get from their library is specifically for their own purposes, for their own use. Like Kenya Medical Research Institute. It's all about medical books and medical journals and research journals in terms of medical. Those are the ones that you're going to find. The same case with KARI, Kenya Agricultural Institute, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute. You will find that the books that are there are mainly for agriculture. You will not find communication skills book there. So usiseme ya kwamba Kasaine Mpoke seme ya kwamba niko library KARI, natafuta kitabu ya communication skills huko. You will not find such books. That's why they are called special libraries. Then apart from special libraries, I'm going to the next library. I think those are the only one. We have National Library, we've looked at it. We've also looked at the public library, functions of a public library. We have looked at national libraries. We've looked at special libraries. I'm also looking at the other ones. I don't know if they are there, but if they are not there, you will read on or you will read for yourself. Just send you back to the library. So there are other libraries that are not there that you're going to read on. This is academic library. Let me look at it. So we've looked at National Library, this one. We've looked at National Library. We've looked at public library. No, public library, yes. Now you're going to read on academic library. Private libraries are meant for private institutions. A private institution. Like, say for example, we can have an organization and it has its own library. Those ones are private libraries. Then we have special libraries. We've talked about special libraries. So you will read on academic libraries and private libraries, of which I've explained in some few words. So we also have what we call section of the library. We have what we call section of the library. Section of the library, we have the short loan section or reserve section. We also have the lending section or general circulation. We have reference section. We have information technology section, the national collection section, loose periodical section, bound periodical section, bibliography section, children section, and interlibrary loaning section. All those are sections of the library. We are going to look at all of them, not all of them, but some of them. Like the short loan section. This is a section of this section contains books and other materials that are in short supply, but are in high demand. If you go to the library, there is this section called the short loan section. Short loan section simply means that you can borrow a book for some few hours, then you return it immediately because you realize that that book is in use. It is used by so many people and it needs to be in the library, and there are very few in the library. So that one, we call them, that section that gives you that book is usually known as the short loan section, where you borrow a book for, even you can be given for overnight, then tomorrow morning at 8, you return the book. Or you can be given for 3 hours. After 3 hours, you do what? You return the book because they are in short supply and they are in high demand. Then there is the lending section. And the lending section, it contains all the books that can be borrowed for a given period of time to be read outside or inside the library. You can also pick the books from the shelves, and afterwards, you are supposed to leave it on the reading desk. This is the lending section. You are given for some few hours or maybe 1 day or 2 days, and then, or maybe you can lend it, read it, and then you leave it on the desk in the library. Those are the lending section. Then there is the reference section, and it only contains books and materials meant for references only. For example, you'll find encyclopedias there, you're going to find dictionaries there, you're going to find survey books there, etc., etc. So when you get to the library, you don't borrow a dictionary. You don't borrow an encyclopedia or a map. That one is meant for references only. Hizo hazigombangwi. But they can help you do what we call photocopying, or maybe you can take a photograph of those particular maps or those particular encyclopedias or something like that, but not the whole of it. Also, we have the national section, which is also known as the Africana section, and it contains a collection of works done within the country, and it contains things like theses. These are what we call research materials. They have what we call dissertations and other special publications. Now, when you go to the best place you can get an Africana, the best place that I can recommend, if you can get access to University of Nairobi Library, then the topmost floor, hiyo ya juu kabisa, kuna kwanga mahali panaitwa National Collection, the Africana section. Ukiingia kwa hiyo Africana section, you will find theses, a lot of projects that were done, a lot of dissertations that were done. Academic works are stored in the Africana or the National Section Library. It is on the topmost floor of Jomo Kenyatta Library. That is at University of Nairobi. Then we also have loose periodical section, and it contains daily newspapers. These are loose periodical section. It contains daily newspapers, it contains weekly and monthly magazines, or even journals. These materials are usually read within the library and returned after use. So you read them within the library, hautokangi na hiyo gazeti. Kama ni magazine unaisomea hapo na unairudisha, unaachana nayo hapo. Then we have bound periodical section, and it contains material like magazines, newspaper of past months or years that are bound together and placed on specific shelves. Now this one reminds me of high school. When I was in high school, our librarian would take, like, for example, if it is a Nation newspaper for the whole year 2020 and bind them together. So utapata kitabu kubwa ambayo iko na all the newspapers, maybe it is nations zote kuanzia January 2020 hadi December 2020, all bound together. That is called the bound periodical section. We also have the bibliographic section, and this section deals with cards. It deals with catalogs that are used for locating books within the library. The cards and catalogs, they are used for locating books along the within the library. Then they also have children section. If you go to these libraries, you call them what? Public libraries. You'll find a children section. Inakwanga mpaka na children section. You'll find children seated down, looking at magazines, reading books. So this section contains books and other materials meant for children only. These materials may include storybooks, cartoons, comedies, may also include DVDs that have materials for children. That is interlibrary loaning section. And then we have interlibrary loaning section. The interlibrary loaning section, it deals with lending and loaning books from other libraries. Like for example, you might find a university has some affiliation with another university. Say for example, University of Nairobi has an affiliation with maybe Kenyatta University, so that you as a student from JKUAT, you can borrow a book from University of Nairobi. Now that one is called the interlibrary loaning section. So if you are a student from JKUAT, you can borrow a book from the library, University of Nairobi library. University of Nairobi library. That is called the interlibrary loaning section. So I hope that one is clear. Unless there is a question, here we'll stop at that point. So we have looked at various sections of the library, the importance of a library, sections of a library. We've looked at what else? Objectives of a library and the reason as to why you should learn library skills. Kuna swali? So this marks the end of today's lesson for communication skills. So communication skills tumemaliza. Next week you'll be doing what is known as revision. So I've also noted that some students brought what we call empty documents. They submitted empty documents, and so you have got zeros in your assignments, and you have got others did not even attempt assignments and cards. Others did not even attempt assignments and cards. Others did not even attempt assignments and cards. And therefore,